All right, everybody. Have you ever just stopped and asked yourself, what the hell happened to us? I'm not talking left or right. I'm not talking policy or party. I'm talking people. Us.
Well, somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing each other as human beings. Now you're a vote, a headline, comment section forgotten, a walking opinion to either cancel or worship.
We used to disagree and still show up for one another. Now we treat empathy like it's a weakness, like basic decency is up for debate. We scroll past suffering if it's happening to them, and we cheer when storms hit cities we politically disagree with. We've made cruelty a team sport.
So let's be real. America's not just divided, it's dehumanized. It's just about politics. It's about the fact that compassion, once the bare minimum, now feels rare.
Today on Outspoken, we're talking about a truth we can't ignore anymore. We're not losing elections, we're losing our humanity. And no ballot box is going to fix that. Hey, listen, before we get started, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated when we upload a new episode. Let's get into this.
Damn, yeah. So like you said earlier, we just don't disagree anymore, right? We dehumanize. One of the best, I think, example is that the current flooding that happened in Texas and how it didn't become a humanitarian issue, it became a political issue. And
Right.
either people lost their lives in that horrible thing that happened. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this political realm has divided us so much, and I'm saying, I'm speaking for myself as well. We stand on one side and don't have zero empathy for the other side, or vice versa. We just get into this wholehearted debate sometimes because we see that maybe one side is not feeling any kind of empathy towards the other side or to the issue at hand, or whatever the case is, or maybe they think we're not understanding because of the deportations. Whatever the case is, we've stopped being humans. We stopped caring for each other, and we care more about our stance in a political view or who you voted for. And to me, that's very, very sad, because there was a time when we could sit across from each other, right, and disagree and still go out and break bread, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we'd still go out and say, like, hey, look, whatever your thought is, bro, it doesn't really matter. You get a good laugh out of it. But we still respected each other. Now, you vote red, bro, you're racist, right? You vote blue, you're a groomer. It doesn't matter. It's there's no nuance on it. There's no grace. It's just like labels, bro, and that's all it is. Like, people do not care. I've seen people, and I've seen them on social media. I'm sure you've seen them too, where they've cut off their own family members over election.
Oh, yeah.
It is sad, bro.
You voted for that dude, you're dead to me.
Right. And it's not like
Yeah.
something happened, like they were abused, right? Remember the last episode we had about, someone hurt their feelings and they're traumatized for life, right? But
Right.
this is not even the case. It's not about abuse. It's not about betrayal. It's just politics. It's just like because dad voted red or mom votes blue and dad is the whole family comes apart, and somehow that's become the normality, bro. That's like the norm in society. And to me, that's kind of sad, because we've allowed politics to dictate our life, like to dictate our humanity. Like, could you imagine? Because I'm a conservative. Now, again, I'm not speaking political. I'm speaking my views morally as a conservative, right? Not
Right.
a libertarian, but as a conservative, I have certain views. Do those always coincide with the Republican Party? Absolutely not.
No, not at all.
There's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure the left has the same thing, right? There's a lot of conservative liberals that have their certain points of views, and they don't agree with their party, and that's just how it is. And
right, you have some people that are fiscally conservative, but
Mhm.
they're socially liberal, right?
correct.
So they believe in all the stuff as far as monetarily, less taxes, all that kind of stuff. More libertarian, I guess you would say. But on the other side, they're like, leave gay people alone. Who cares if you have abortions or not? I mean, there's a bunch of different thought patterns with people. And the problem that's come up, and you and I have talked about this before too, that we've seen this. If you aren't conservative enough or aren't right enough, you're kind of looked down on the right side of the platform. And on the left side of the platform, I mean, they did this to everybody, is they would cancel people, right? So if
Yeah.
you're not lefty enough, you get canceled, you'll get fired from your job.
Yeah.
If you don't wear the mask, you don't take the shot, if you don't put up a gay flag in your place of worship or work or school zone or whatever
Or share
it is.
your restroom with another gender.
Yeah, it's not just the two sides against each other, the red against the blue, the red and the blue. It is amongst their own sides. So
Yeah,
these
it's on both sides though. It's on
it's
the
on both sides,
Republican
yeah.
side. It's
Yeah.
on the Democratic side. I
Well,
mean,
a
we.
great one for us was January 6th, right? The
Mhm.
whole thing with the insurrection.
Yep.
And I've said this many times before. None of those people that went in and damaged anything in the Capitol, none of them were conservatives.
No,
None of them.
absolutely not.
And people on the left will go, yes, they were. Yes, they were Trump
No,
voters. They were.
no.
Okay, they could be Trump voters and they could be Republicans, but they weren't conservative. And that's the key thing, is that conservative and liberal are very much moral things. They're not a political thing. They've been pulled to the political realm,
Correct.
but they are more moral guidances, right? And when I say that, anybody that was there on January 6th that was conservative may have been there, but they didn't go in and trash stuff, because those people, as a true conservative, that's not something you would have done. In fact, those would have been the people that would have been outside yelling at the officers, hey, you guys need to stop those people. What are they doing? Why are you letting them bust a window or do all that kind of stuff? And it's the same thing with the folks on the left, and that's why you have such a exodus of people from the left or the Democratic Party right now, is because they're sick of everything that's going on, the socialism and all this kind of stuff. That's not what they're there for, right? They believe in social equality kind of things. They're not there for all the craziness that's going on, right? And burning down buildings and stuff like that. So you can't put everybody into one group and say, oh, yes, you either believe this way or you believe this way, or you're kicked out of the club.
So the problem is this, and I feel that we have politicized our society so much. I'm going to blame both sides because we both have a little bit to blame on this. As a conservative, a true conservative, a person who, to me, a definition of, there's three things for a definition of a conservative. One, they're very reserved people, right? But they believe in freedoms, minimal government involvement, freedom. They believe in following the law, and they believe in their religion. They're very, very Christian-based, family-orientated kind of group. And that's, to me, what a conservative is, right? Now, it has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do. There was a time when that conservative party, that group of people called the conservatives, were on the left side, And
oh yeah,
they
my
valued
family,
that.
Yeah, my family when I was younger were Democrats, right?
Right.
And they were still conservative, right? But
That's what it was back in our days when we were younger. There were conservative lefts, right? And it was a lot of it because of the how they helped the middle class and things like that. Again, we don't have those debates. We don't have those healthy debates anymore. We've gotten to the point where we're just splitting hairs. You can't just be okay with gay people. You have to foster it. You have to believe in it. You have to accept it. You have to,
right.
you have to. They're like overboard with all that. Like, dude, look, man, live and let live, bro. That's
what
what
little kids to get in.
Yeah, we're not against that, right? But again, there was a time when we could bring that up to the table. When gay America back in the 80s, when we were growing up, when they came to the table, they didn't want to use the same restroom. They didn't want to be called, they, them. They came to the table and said, look, man, we want to be able to get married and have no problems. We want to be able to adopt children and not have an issue with it. This is
insurance. A lot of it was over like insurance and stuff.
Right. This is what they came,
really basic things.
and that's what they came to the table with. Now, that's something that you could sit there and debate, not sit there and dehumanize someone. We didn't see a problem with that. But now, bro, it's like, oh, your state got hit by a hurricane? Good. That's what you get, right, for voting Republican. Like, because you voted Republican, your state deserved to be devastated along with the people that reside there, right? Or your house gets flooded, right? Oh, maybe next time you'll support climate change policy. Bro, like, this is real stuff. This exists, This is what's happening in our society, and it's sad. What kind of heartless creature cheers at the suffering of another human being, bro? Yeah, that's what happens. Like, and it's sad to hear some of this, Jay. Let me tell you, like, when those floods happened in Texas and those little girls lost their lives at that Christian camp, people were cheering on. They were saying, good, that's what they get. They were all little white girls and all that. That just broke my heart, because I'm thinking, here you are as a liberal, as a lefty, saying you want equal rights for this, equal rights for that. And if you don't get them, then you're a bigot or you're a homophobe or whatever the case is. They always have labels. But the moment something like that happens, they're the first ones to just laugh at tragedy. They're the first ones to just have zero empathy and laugh about it and joke about it and pull out race cards and and that's just sad. How is that right? How does that make any situation better when your worldview makes you hate someone before you even know their name? Like, That's not politics, bro. That's just poison. And that's what's happening with politics today, that they're just feeding poison into a society that's so ready and eager to drink it. And that's wrong. I mean, that's sad, but that's the truth, man. When there was a time where people wouldn't or didn't drink the Kool-Aid, and
Right.
now they're taking gulps of it, man. It's like Jonestown's all over again. But these people are doing it willingly, just like they did over there. And while they're drinking this Kool-Aid, they're just building this hate, this anger towards a political party. And I've had this discussion with people that I love, like me being or voting. And the key here is voting Republican does not make me agree 100% with Republican views.
That's
Right.
right.
It
Yep.
makes it, but the core value behind what being or voting for a Republican for that person that I voted for, to me, stood out. Right. They were on the right track onto what my beliefs were and how
Right.
I see society. And they were in line with that. Now, does everything that Trump does or talk about, do I agree with it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right. There's times I say, Trump, take your cue, speak no more. Hold your tongue, son. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the funny thing. You think about, I mean, this goes all the way back to like 2016, right?
Mhm.
Think about all the people that we knew that did vote for him back then or more recent elections. And if you asked them, did you agree with everything? And what would be one of the one things that you would have said to him if you could have? They'd say, stop tweeting a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
Stop talking nonsense to people. Like when him and DeSantis got into stuff,
Mhm.
everybody hated that. They hated it because DeSantis was one of his biggest cheerleaders, and now
Yep.
he's talking bad about him, right? But that's the thing, is that you have to be in a point in your life that you can say, hey, I like 80 to 90% of this person's policies and their moral standards that more or less align with mine. I don't agree with this 10, 15, 20% of what this person does. I don't agree with 90% of this other person over here, right? So
Right.
that's what you're voting for. You're not voting for a party. You're not voting for red or blue. You're not voting against the other person. You're voting for the person that holds as close of values to you that you currently have.
Correct.
And that's a really difficult thing to do. In my opinion, all of us nationwide should never have a political figure that ever fulfills 100% of your desires and likes and wants in a political figure. It should never happen, because you should always have an opinion somewhere in there that you're like, yeah. Most recently, Trump gets back into office, and what happens over in Iran? They drop some bombs over there, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of conservatives that were very pissed at that. And
Yeah.
why is that? Because one of the things that he ran on was what?
No more wars.
New wars. Now, that wasn't a war, that was just a bombing. But as conservatives, what's the one thing we want? We don't want war. We don't want destruction or killing of anybody. Just like you were talking a few minutes ago about the whole Texas floods and these people making fun of these little white girls that lost their lives, or whether or not I'm against people in Iran. I don't want anybody there losing their life, man. I don't. The Ukraine Russia thing, I don't think we should be giving money to Ukraine. But on the other side, I don't want Ukrainians losing their life either, or Russians, or Iranians, or Arabs, or Jews, or anybody, Palestinian, anybody, right? We would like to be in a peaceful world. The unfortunate part about it is the world's not going to be peaceful because we can't even make Chicago peaceful, right? If we can't make our own backyard peaceful, we can't make the rest of the world peaceful. Going back to it, we have to vote or believe in or back a person that is close to our moral standards that we can find. And you're never going to find somebody 100%.
It's almost like that saying, the lesser of two evils, right? I mean,
the lesser of two evils.
Because, in their time, something's going to happen we're not going to agree with. And a lot of times it happens almost right away. The thing is, we don't have to agree with everything they do. As long as, how many of you love everybody, all your bosses? How many of you love where you work? 100%. Oh, see, now you're getting crazy. Nobody.
But look at that.
People that I was boss to, their boss, they loved me though.
Oh yeah, they loved you 100%. Yeah. No, and I felt like I was a good boss over the years, and I know people that, afterwards I found out that were not fans of mine.
Well, here's the thing, because you still have to make decisions that not everyone's going to favor, right? You're still the boss. You still have a business to run, and some people are not going to like it. Because here's the thing. Oh, like for me, for example, Joe, he's the cool boss, right? He does this. He's always looking out for you. But then that one time we're like, guess what, guys? We need to all be here, blah, blah, blah. There's like, man, what a douche. He makes us work. And like the one time, you know what I mean? I'm the
Yeah.
bad guy. But that's
Yeah.
just how people are, because again, we've lost our empathy. Like, and especially when people start bringing in religion, like another mass shooting or whatever happened, all of a sudden, oh, that's God judging you for being too conservative, or because you don't vote against anti-gun laws and blah blah blah. And like, okay, now you're bringing God into this, like,
And it's probably somebody that doesn't even believe in God to begin
correct.
with,
And so,
Yeah.
and that's most of the left. But here's the thing: we've let politics warp our empathy to the point that people don't deserve help anymore unless they vote or live like we do.
Right.
There was a time not too long ago, Jay, and you know this. If someone house burned down, the whole community was out there, right? We had buckets, water
Absolutely.
hoses. What do you need? Moms would be out there with food, hey, blankets, whatever. We were there. People showed up. The community showed up. We gave, we fed, we prayed, we stood by each other. Everything. Now, dude, that guy has that American flag. He's conservative. Let it burn. Let it burn. That's what they're doing now. Or they're popping their phones up and they're recording, like putting it on the tickety talk, right? And saying, look at another conservative goes down, right? Or like when those little girls died, like, oh, they were only going to grow up to be conservative, so that's less conservatives in this world. How can you say those things? How could your heart be so stone cold that you allow politics to get the better of you? Do you remember the tragedy of 9/11 and how that brought everybody together? There was no racism, there was no hatred, there was no poors, there was no rich, there was nothing but Americans.
Just Americans.
And that's what we've allowed. We've allowed the poison that's fed by both the left and by the right to change our views on humanity, not politics. Bro, politics is still strong and going forward, but it changed our view on humanity, which is crazy. That shouldn't have happened. It should have changed our views on politics. That's what we should have done. Like, these guys are way too far left, or these guys are way too far right. Hell no. So now, as a society that absolutely does not like any kind of accountability, right? We're like, oh, zero accountability. Now, what we do is we scroll past posts that are tragic, right? And then think, oh, they've earned it. That's what they get. Or they put a little like they see something up, but those are lives, man. Their vote impacted nobody. Whether they voted left or they voted right, they made no direct impact. Society is going to continue to roll, whether it's led by a Republican or led by a Democrat. It's going to continue to move forward. No matter how they voted, still suffer in our society for some reason, because of the poison that's fed by these political sides. And I'm talking both. I know you agree with me on this, because they both feed this crap to society. We've lost our humanity, right? And we no longer become a group of activists, right? Out for justice. We're just evil, bro. We're angrier. We just don't want justice. We just want evil for everybody. Like, we can't be happy that, oh, guess what? This guy, our neighbor, just got this and blah blah. Well, he's a Republican. He probably stole it, or he's a lefty. He's probably a chomo. Like, we cannot come to a consensus. Like, where, like, look, man, let's not cross these lines. Let's not lose our humanity because of a political view. Look what political views have done in Mexico. In just the first half of 2025, over 116 politicians have been murdered. Nothing's changed in Mexico. It's still corrupt as hell. And there's only two parties that ever win, the PRI and the PAN. That's it. They change nothing. Just like our politics, they change nothing. They change it for 4 years, and then we go back depending on who gets voted in next. All we see is dollars and cents. We either see how a cost of living has increased, or how our cost of living has decreased, and our taxes have increased. We don't see anything else in that. But we're ready to take someone else out or laugh at their tragedy because of a political view or political stance. We've gone away from social issues and made them a social madness. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's important to understand, that there is a great divide and that we have to close this gap. We have to fill in this divide and try to reach each other at our heartstrings. You know what I mean? Like, we have to go back to being more human and less politicized about how we care for people. If I see someone in the street that needs my help, my first thought shouldn't be, is he Republican or Democrat? How did he vote? Oh, he's wearing a America First shirt? Let him bleed out. Oh, he's got a rainbow shirt out? Let they then bleed out. Like, we've lost our humanity. Like, honestly, bro, if I don't care, and this is something you and I have discussed on the private, I don't see color, I don't see gender, I don't see anything like that. If someone needs help, we as humans should help.
100%.
That we shouldn't have to say, like, sit there and have a 10-sentence questionnaire like, all right, who'd you vote for? How do you identify? Did you come from a nuclear
what's
family?
Your pronouns?
Yeah. Like, none of that should matter, right? Because it's a human being composed of the same elements that you are.
It's one of our brothers or sisters.
Right. It needs your help. But we can't. We are so blinded. We're not blinded by politics. We're blinded by hatred, and we've allowed this to blind our humanity, to blind the empathy that we've had for society, and now we're just savages, bro. Tell me you don't see it when you see something on the Tickety Talk or on Instagram. Do you see more people with phones out, or do you see more people helping the person?
Oh, phones out 100%, man. Everybody's got to get their, it's the old Andy Warhol thing. They got to get their 15 minutes of fame. I hate to always bring this up, but man, I tell you what, the earth stood still and changed when COVID hit the ground running. Because during COVID, you remember this, you had late night TV stars, man, people on huge networks and stuff. In fact, one of them's losing his job now as of next year. But they would get on there and say, if you don't get the vaccine, you shouldn't get medical treatment. You shouldn't get this and this and that. Okay, well, how do you guys think about that now? Not everybody that got it was really that sick. People that were put on ventilators, it actually killed them. It was worse for them.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people going into hospital. Here's the thing. The rest of the world didn't stop. People still had cancer. People still broke their legs. People still had accidents, got sick in normal manners. Why was it during that time that there was no flu? The flu just didn't exist anymore. Well, people still had the flu. Might have been compounded with other crap going on with COVID and everything. But the thing is, we changed a narrative and made it political. It wasn't political. We made it political. It's sad because now some of those people still carry on to this day, use all of that same stuff, and they won't go backwards. They won't go back in time, rewind the tape and say, oof, we were wrong. Now, there are some people that are doing that. Anyways, he's a big CEO, and he got on and he said, listen, I was wrong. I got all my, 20 boosters or whatever. And he's like, I've got 2 forms of cancer. I've got this and this and that. I've got all these issues. And he goes, and I'm not going to live another 6 months. They basically told me I'm done. And he's like, I was perfectly healthy before all this stuff. And I hate to say this, but the people that were saying against all of that stuff, they were right back then,
Yeah, they panicked.
Well, again, people have opinions. A lot of the stuff that comes up now is like, well, the government said so, or a doctor says so, or this or that. Well, let me ask you guys, the ones that would be a little bit more skewed on the left. Do you think that a police officer is always right? And the answer on that side, I can guarantee you, would be like, well, heck no. And half the time they're like, well, we're going to argue with them and everything else. And so you realize they're cut from the same cloth that a doctor is, that a politician is, that we are, that a school teacher is. We're all humans. We all have the same DNA, just like Joe said earlier, and we all get it wrong sometimes. Here's the thing. If we were to say any industry or any people that are charged with people and taking care of them one way or another, and they end up killing them more as much as they do help them, wouldn't we hold those people more accountable? And again, you're going to have people say, oh yeah, you're talking about police officers killing people. No, I'm talking about doctors having misdiagnoses, having malpractice stuff done against them. The amount of times that people are misdiagnosed, have wrong treatments done to them and everything else, and they die because of that is 1,000 times more than any police interactions out there. So why aren't we going after doctors and stuff like that? Because we trust them so much, and because the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry has so much money out there to back them. The police don't, right? They have so much against them. Both the right and the left give to medical and all that kind of stuff. And again, they are heavy into politics because they will give money to specific politicians that pass laws and things that help them and make it beneficial for them. In the end, the last thing that we need to do is exacerbate all of these political divides. We need to come together more. We know this, but we still refuse to know the fact and get together on this, is that divided, we're not powerful. When we're together, we're more powerful, and we have so much more that we could go after the government and tell them that we need change. But the thing is that they don't have to change, because they know 50% and the other 50% of the country are going to just go head to head. And they say, yeah, we can do whatever we want. You guys are never going to be smart enough to all join the same team. We don't all have to agree on everything, just like we were saying in the beginning. You're never going to find a politician that you're going to agree with 100%. But we know the basic human necessity things. Both the left and the right want homelessness to go away. Both the left and the right. I don't think there's anybody out there from any political spectrum that goes, homeless, that needs to happen, right? It needs to happen. The lower populace needs to just be on the streets. Nobody says that. Everybody wants homelessness to go away. Drug use, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all those kind of things. Again, Again, everybody wants that to go away.
The
Human
problem
trafficking.
is they don't agree. How?
Don't agree how, right?
Yeah.
Right, because there's some folks that have been fed this lie that if we have more affordable housing, we'll get people off the streets. Well, we've built affordable housing and we have more people on the streets, because the problem is those people on the streets, there's a whole bunch of things going on. They can't even afford affordable housing, right? And most of them, they have to follow a rule set. They don't want to follow those rules to be in those houses. It's like halfway houses. You can get halfway houses that have been around for a long time, and those are privately done, and those have done a lot of good over the years. But the thing is, you have to follow some kind of rules, and there has to be a social norm, right? There has to be, at one point or another, you have to have rules and laws and things like that. And that's where everything starts to get muddy, because you have two political parties, one that believes in the rule of law and the other one that believes, willy-nilly, unicorn, farts and everything else. And so now, how do you get people to agree on stuff if you have one party that's like, this is the line and we have to have these laws, and the other one's like, well, you're just being an oppressor and everything else? It's really dicey to try to figure out how to.
So, and you made some good points, and I think that's another episode about talking about basic core values. Issues are madness, right? We talked about, because every social issue now feels like it's a war zone, right? Whether it's gender, sex, religion, patriotism, all of that is turned into digital grenades. You and I have agreed that although we use the platforms, social media is probably one of the worst things that's happened to our society.
It's the devil.
Yeah. You say the wrong thing, you're canceled. Done. You stay silent, you're complicit. Oh, you go with it. You support the wrong person, you're finished. Right. It's just crazy. It's just crazy because it's not about truth anymore. No one cares about truth. Truth it's debatable now. It's more about power. It's about punishing. It's about humiliating. It's about dominating anyone who disagrees. In the biblical sense, you see someone write something about some kind of belief, whether it's Latter-day Saints or Jehovah's Witness, people are ready to attack and just call them out. Like there's no conversation, right? We've and that's the thing. We've replaced conversation with condemnation. We don't ask, why do you think like that? We say, you're disgusting. Unfriend, unfollow, unfamily. All right? Done. Yeah. You're a disgusting pig. Get out of here. Let's be real, Jay. Social media loves this. They love it. You love the likes. You love the conversations that happen, the debates in the comment section, right? The outrage, the conflict, the hate. It gets clicks, bro. It gets attention. It gets money. That's where we're heading. We're heading to a society that has zero empathy, dehumanized because of likes. But you know what it doesn't get? It doesn't get any healing. People don't heal from that. People don't get anything. I see more and more in social media. I'm looking at people that a girl's talking about religion or something, and then they say, well, maybe you should pray to God to fix your nose. I'm sitting there baffled. I'm like, why would you even bring that up? Like, if you don't care about religion, scroll past it, bro.
Right.
Move on. Why do you have to criticize someone? Why do you have to make someone feel low? Because someone made you feel that way? You feel like you have to do it to someone else?
And that's what it is.
And that's horrible. But I remember being a kid, correct me if I'm wrong, and seeing like neighbors show up for each other. They would bring plates of food. Hey, we had this big family dinner. We had a bunch of extras. We brought you guys some pies. I know every time I go to your house and mom's there, she leaves me a lot of food. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but do you remember how that used to happen? Like our neighbors, we knew each other. We used to walk to each other's houses, like with no question, right? You didn't know someone to help them. You didn't, people just helped each other. Someone's car break down, we stopped, fix a tire, help them, older lady, whatever, like kid gets hurt. We prayed. We all prayed. Hey, we're praying for you. Bring a little care basket, whatnot. Someone was alone. We invited them in. Hey, you want to come over? I know your wife's out of town or whatever the case is. We were humans. We coexisted. There was a sense that we shared a struggle together and we shared that care together. We built that unity amongst each other, right? Because we were a neighborhood, a community. We weren't perfect, but we had heart. And that's kind of gone away. Now it feels like everything is transactional. It's like conditional. You got to check the right boxes to make sure that you get the right treatment. Like, he waves an American flag? No. Oh, he voted for Trump? No. Looks like this guy's the enemy. We don't go to that house. F that house. We're going to make everything we can to make that person feel uncomfortable and impossible living here, right? Because they want him out of that neighborhood. What happened to our soul? What happened to the soul of this country that we were stood firm? People feared us, bro, because we stood together, regardless of our little disputes about how we felt about a politician or whatnot. We still cared for each other as humanity, as Americans, we stood by each other. And tragedy hit us, we'd be there as a community to help people through these tragedies. We were so willing to give money. We were so willing to give clothing, to give blankets, to give care, to give love, whatever the case was. When did we stop? When did we start loving ideologies more than people? And that to me is scary because it's leading us down a very dark path, right? To where we're going to walk around and we're going to see someone clinging to life. We're not going to give two thoughts about it. Just keep walking. We're not even going to call 911. We're just going to keep going. Not my business. The guy shouldn't be wearing that red hat. He voted for the orange man. Or, just a gay person. Deserve to be there.
You remember back in the day, there was a situation. I want to say it was in New York somewhere. It could have been somewhere else. But anyways,
New York. Go ahead, sorry.
But you will know this story. There was a young lady that was being attacked in an alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy came in to wrestle the guy and get her away and all that. Anyways, he ended up smacking her or something like that on accident because he's fighting with this guy and hits her and blah, blah, blah. So because he's somebody that's known, she's going to have him sued and go after him and everything. And they created what was called the Good Samaritan law.
Yeah.
Right. Where you couldn't be, if you were trying to help somebody, like truly trying to help somebody, you couldn't have charges pressed against you or what have you. So you think about that. That was created because people were desperate to help one another. It's almost completely the opposite now. People want to stand on the sidelines and don't want to do anything, right?
Well, because they were scared of getting sued at one point, like you just brought up.
Well, now it's even more so.
Now it's racist if you help somebody and you're a different color.
That's right. Now people just want to stand back on the sidelines and really, I didn't see anything, and maybe video it, right?
Yeah.
Throw it on your camera and get some likes
Upload
on
it on
TikTok
social media.
YouTube. When did people become like so numb to one another's pain? Somebody else's pain has no effect on me. It used to be you'd go to a movie and you saw somebody hurting, whether it was emotionally or physically, and it hurt you to watch that movie. And now I feel like people sit in a movie and they have no emotion. It's full detachment from whatever's going on.
Well, look at the types of movies that are being shown nowadays, But like even me, like if I go to a restaurant, I'm having dinner, and I turn over and I see like an old man eating by himself, man, that gets to me. It pulls on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Man, doesn't he have nobody? He's probably like just getting away from his wife because she's, probably nagging him or something, right? Or the kids are over. He's like, I've had enough of these kids. But, we look at that and we picture this lonely old man and we feel bad for them, right? Or we walk down the street and we see this homeless person, all the money they have or they've had, it was to buy food for their little companion, which is a dog, and right. It pulls on your heartstrings, and you're thinking is like, man, I wish I had money to just get these people out and put them in a house and say, look, man, you're good there for at least 6 months and don't worry about it. We've gone away from that. We walk by and we like don't exist. They're nothing to us, and look, man, I'm not pretending to have it all figured out. I wrestle with my own anger and my own judgment. I'm not perfect by any means, right? But lately, man, God's been showing me we're drifting fast, bro. It's not about a culture war anymore. It's about a compassion collapse. Like we are off course by so far right now. And if we don't do a course correct, if we don't get back on track how we should be as human beings, caring for each other, loving for each other, let's say it doesn't come out of you to help someone, but at least have respect for that person. And to me, we've lost that. And I think we need to get back on track, get back on course, and know that we have to do better. Here's my challenge. Before you post, pause. Before you hate, hear, and before you judge, pray. That's all I got to say.
All right, everybody. Well, before we get out of here, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated whenever we upload a new episode.
Yeah.
Make sure you take care of one another.
And remember, do better, be better.
And as always,
God bless America.
America.
We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week, man.
See you next Tuesday.